afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you all to my inaugural event as the president of Ladies Study Group in Kolkata. Ladies Study Group is the women's wing of the Indian Chamber of Commerce. And as you and me go through these extraordinary times together, my organization and I remain committed to bring you all a series of events, debates, discussions, and workshops on diverse subjects and relevant issues on the various digital platforms that are available to all of us today. As Maya Angelou has said, and I quote, people will forget what you said, and people are going to forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. And taking that forward, I can guarantee that we are all going to be feeling so much happier and better after our session today. The emotional tagline that we have chosen for today is Dil Ki Sadak, a journey to love. So do join me as we take this journey together. We have with us the maverick director, writer, and producer, Mr. Mahesh Bhatt, along with the very, very talented Mr. Jisshu Sengupta, who has been breaking new boundaries in his own field. Both of them have recently worked together in Sadak 2, during which they struck a rare chord of the heart. They are going to be sharing the dynamics of their unique relationship with us today. And so, without wasting any more time of yours, I'm going to invite them on screen, Mr. Mahesh Bhatt and Mr. Jisshu Sengupta. Welcome to the Ladies Study Group platform. It has been such an
Hi,
honor. Hi. It is such an honor to have you both with us.
hi,
Before, hi, Jishu. I just wanted to add that
hi,
Jishu
Ria.
has said hi. Thank you both for being here with us today. And I wanted to just say one thing before I hand the stage over to both of you. That when I was speaking to Jishu yesterday, he said something so beautiful. He said that whenever he was feeling down or feeling low, all he had to do was pick up the phone and speak to Bhatt and everything was fine again. And I think that's something that each one of us can do with today in this current crisis mode. So we're all looking forward to going on this Sadak together with both of you. Over to you both now, please.
Thank you, Ria. Thank you so much.
Thank
Hi,
you,
what's
dear.
up? How are you doing?
So far, so good. Now she has given an outstanding introduction to you and me. To live up to what she has promised to the people there. Rightly said, is the glue that can hold the humankind together because humanity is going through perhaps the hardest time in centuries. And
Ab-
we have never known times like this. So, what will work is love. What has worked for you and me is love. So, what works for you and me will work for the rest of the world. Love, love, the road to love. Sadak to the road to love.
Absolutely, sir. Sir, actually, I was just thinking, we were speaking yesterday only about uh, the life we are living right now. And it usually takes, we have read it in a book, and that any habits, it takes 21 days to make a habit. And to break it also, you need 21 days. So right now, as we speak, we are living in such times where we have taken everything for granted, and we were living in a world where uh, we were taking everything, our relationships, our work, our livelihood for granted. So what do you think is right now? We are, in a situation where we need to break our habits. We need to make new habits. So how do we do it, sir?
Jishu, you will be made to do. It's you have no choice. Mankind has come to face with that inevitable truth of mortality. The finality of things is when the narrative called you or me comes to an end someday. You have projected a future date when you thought things will come to an end. But the fact is, everybody prior to this lockdown internationally had presumed that the way of life and the way of living, thinking, loving, hating will go on forever and ever and ever, until you got a jolt and you were reminded there's nothing called forever. And it began with slowly a realization came to you that perhaps this, what we are taking for granted as a maybe a temporary shutdown and things will be back to normal. Now you're beginning to see that that will never happen. And as somebody rightly said, when we look back, we'll define these times as the pre-lockdown times, pre-corona times, and the post-corona times. And the old ways of life are finished. The earlier you accept it, the better it is. The graveyard is full of
Uh,
all those certainties which you claimed were going to see you through. Neither the scientific authorities, nor the political masters, nor the economists, nor the religious heads had expected what was coming our way. So there is no crystal ball in which we can gaze and say what tomorrow holds for all of us. But this has come to an end. And as we talk, the story of mankind is still being written.
Sir, you know me, like I had a lot of fears within me, and I was fighting fears, and where you came into my life, and you actually pushed me out of my shell, and you showed me a path where uh, if I am fearless, I know what I can do. Right now, as we speak, there are a lot of fears. Like I can't go out and hug my loved ones. I don't know when I'm going to get back to work. So how do you uh, conquer this fear? How do you conquer this fear of going out,
Look,
meeting people?
Jishu, fear is a survival tool. You know, fear is intelligence telling you that, look, there may be trouble uh, out there, and for your survival, you need to be cautious, apprehensive. A certain amount of anxiety you see in the animal kingdom. Animals have that sense of that subtle sense of fear of losing their life in the quest for their foods. And we thought we were very different. And we had bought those certainties which were dished out to us by our masters in every field. And we had taken for granted that these certainties will couch us from the so called insecurities that the animal kingdom feels. But that is not going to be the way the narrative is going to unfold tomorrow. So I would say, yes, we have to be uh, ready to embrace the reality as it is being told to us is playing out, because what we are told also is information is given to us as sampled by the so-called experts even now. We still have tremendous faith and investment in those experts. Those are the guys did not see this coming, and now they are saying that listen to us. This is the way ahead. Well, guys, you guys did not see it coming. Be decorous enough to say that you are as lost as you are. So I give the analogy: the humankind, mankind is like a blind man looking for a black cat in a dark room, which is not there. So I wish, I keep on saying it's like a
So true,
home.
sir.
Uh,
So
it,
true.
it's like a home issue. When a house goes through a crisis, uh, the elders owe it to the youngsters to come and say things to the youngsters as they are. Because when they start pretending and indulging in bluff and bluster, the kids learn from the body language that all is not well at home. And no amount of bluff and bluster is going to work. The body languages of our invincible leaders says much more to us than what their talks and speeches do. That they, in spite of all that they're dishing out, they haven't got the slightest idea what tomorrow may bring. So live with this uncertainty, be humble enough to say, I don't know. And we'll handle it as we go on as we used to shoot. We used to say one shot at a time, Jishu. Let's handle one shot at a time.
Right, right,
Perhaps that's the
right.
way ahead.
Absolutely, self. Absolutely. So you're gonna say that the way we were taking everything for granted, and aisa hoga, waisa hoga, and uh, uh, we're going to live our life this way. No plans are going to work right now. When you can't plan anything right now. In all respect, I'm saying there won't be any planning. So if I plan something, it is not going to happen that way. So it's a very weird time we are living in,
Yes,
where
yes, 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 yes. Life is forcing you to live on its own term. The only certainty today is that there are no certainties. And that's a very difficult truth to come face to face with, which is
right,
what people do all the time. They're all the time promising certainties, right? The shopkeepers are all the time giving you guarantees that this will work, this will last longer. In relationships, you do the same thing. And the horror of this pandemic has been that you have discovered how fragile we are. The human relationships are being stripped bare. I've seen the kind of what goes on behind those closed doors in the so-called very intimate relationships is something that the world will slowly begin to unravel and talk about through stories and maybe through personal interactions. But the fact is, man can't live with himself. So how can he live with the other? It's so difficult. So there are domestic cases of domestic violence. There are people suffering from depression. There are anxiety attacks, and well, it takes a lot to do nothing. And that's what I feel is the issue. That to sit down um, alone with yourself is not an easy task
I think this is
because
the
you're
correct
used to
time
so
to.
much. Imagine if your phone is snatched away from you now. Now what happens? Just imagine if there's on a national level or a global level, is a digital detoxification takes place, what will happen? Oh my God. We still have the luxury, unlike our ancestors, to talk to each other. You're in Kolkata, I'm in Mumbai, and we can still, thanks to Dia, talk to each other and see each other's face, look
Absolutely.
into each other's eyes and smile, right? And connect with people out there. But well, I
Right,
think
right.
I will not pretend that I have the answers. I'm as lost as everybody else is.
Which you have always you have
Vulnerable.
always said
I'm
that.
as vulnerable. Yeah, I'm as vulnerable as anybody out there. And I read a lot, but I, I. That doesn't mean that those are the enduring answers. Because somebody says something and then something else happens and that's contradicted. So that's why love. We come back to love. That
So
let
you
it
want
call
to say
love.
that we have
It
to
is.
unlearn everything right now and start a fresh day, and a fresh learning we need to learn.
Well, I think, as I said, that you will be forced to learn when you're thrown into the stream of life. When Titanic crashed, there are very few people who survived. And how they survive? Each one has his own story of survival. And well, when you're thrown into a moving stream, how you will make it uh, is completely unpredictable. So that's what has happened. And you still are looking for marketable truths, and you're still falling for that. And I see your entertainment parlors are shut. Your religious sites were all shut till of late. I think they're now open in some parts of India, but internationally. And so all those areas of certainties where man went to uh, kind of nurse his despair, well, have been shut down. So you're thrown to yourself. And so I think love, we come back to the word love, is ultimately in a dark night, they say the eye begins to see. And all I have is you, and all you have is me. And no matter what, how many differences we have, We have to learn to live together. And I have to realize, Yishu, that only if you survive will I survive. If you don't, then I will be in danger also. So now the well-being of the other. So what is the lockdown? What is the lockdown? Don't go out because you will endanger somebody else too. You'll be a carrier. You may be a very healthy person. You got great immunity, but if you are a passive kind of transmission happens to people who are less healthy concern for the other. And only when the other survives will you be
True,
able to
true.
survive.
So coming back to you, I just wanted to ask you, sir, uh, your Sadak of life, I would say, it's a learning lesson. It's something so encouraging to a lot of people, including me. And I just want to know, where do you get this courage to fall back? You know, you fall down and you bounce back again. You fall down, you bounce back again. What is this one thing which you have always followed?
Well,
I don't know. I'm sure you're going to say I don't have this answer, but I really want to know, sir.
no, you see, first of all, I've come back after 20 years. And as I said, I remember Alia used to keep on saying, Papa, why don't you make a movie with me? And I used to keep on saying, a child, I have an extinct volcano. If there was, they said that I was a volcano of talent. I made marvelous movies which have endured the test of time. Arth and Saraj and Zakam, Daddy, Vilakamantani, and Sadak, and all those. I said, yes. So there was one spring out there, and then there is autumn, and now there's a long winter, and I don't know. I mean, I don't see any possibility of life coming back here, and I don't have the desire in me to continue. And I remember telling this to one of the CEOs of a very big networks. I said, when beauty fades, uh, the world comes to know that you're no longer that same beautiful person that you once were, and that's why people are frightened of the passing of time and them losing the glow of youth. But when talent fades, only you come to know that you are no longer in possession of that fire that was once there in your veins. And that happened to me. And I was not being able to translate the life I was living uh, onto celluloid. The last decent film I made was an autobiographical film called Zakh, which got, of course, a great international and national acknowledgement and won me a few national awards. And Ajay Devgan got a national award. And then I left when the hall was still saying once more. Then after 20 years, I had this uh, encounter with yeah, a writer that came from Kolkata, Shurita. Uh, she is a person who comes from a literary background, and she is a simple uh, lady, and she has this thirst for writing, and she somehow through her innocence and through her passion um, uh, ignited in me uh, the fire. How she did it, I don't know. She perhaps uh, still looked at me through the work of my past when I was uh, perhaps in the bloom of my youth, and I had this fire and I had this thirst to make movies and touch people. And then also added to that was Sanjay Dutt, who came back from jail, and he said that I want one film that you can pull out of me because I have a lot of experiences trapped in my body and which I can't trust anybody else with but you. So I owed it to Sanju. I love Sanju, and Sanju, in a way, we and both have started commercial career. I mean, I had made Arth and Saransh, but Naam became my first blockbuster. So I started to write it, and then when the movie turned out well, Jishu, I just called Alia and I said that maybe she should take a look at this story because it's something that she may like to here because it's a great love story of a kind. It was a different kind of love story. So when she heard it, she was very moved by the story, and even half an hour after she heard it, she went back home and she called and she said, "Daddy, I don't want you to give this movie to anybody." And I was not making her hear with the intention of making her do the film. I just wanted her to hear something which had flowered in my heart. But then the problem was, Sanju said, it's a very good story, very good story. He loved it, but let's not make it, he said. So I said, why? He says, who will translate all this on screen? I said, I mean, we will be as clear as possible on paper. And um, he said, no, this is something that only can be translated by, it has your breath. And if your breath is not there on the stage where we shoot, how can this have the same vitality? So I was reluctant, and Pooja got ganged up with Sanju, and then Alia ganged up with Pooja. So it was like, and Shweta got into the act, and then they made me see that what I thought to be a wasteland in me, there were suddenly signs of spring. But I was not motivated, Jishu, to use this movie as my swan song or as a comeback vehicle. I see behind you a picture of the great Charlie Chaplin. And
Yeah.
I believe that the most happened to this genius was his last movie, The Countess from Hong Kong, where he came to regain his lost glory. And he couldn't. He had Victor Lorraine, but he failed miserably to touch anybody because his intention that time was to rewrite what he once wrote with his heart, and there was the need to whip up the dead past, which is not possible. So I just came because there was a feeling that something was ignited in me, and for me, it was an end in itself, not a means to an end, and that's why I loved every day of my shooting. You know, there was a time prior to '98 when I left direction, I used to dread the idea of going to a film set. I used to hate the idea. Oh my God, what am I doing? I got shooting today. And I asked, why am I doing this? I don't need the money. I don't need the fame. What the hell am I doing? So that's why I got into promoting young talent. But here in Sadak, every day I loved shooting. I loved shooting. I loved working with you. I loved working with what you brought to uh, the role. Uh, and you say you learned from me. I learned from you.
Ah,
There's a marvelous scene in towards the end of the film, which when I watch it, I'm awestruck. And those shots were taken independent. You were just given a verbal cue of your co-actor. And I keep on looking at that and I say, this young man at this young age has such depth, such awesome understanding of life, and completely not referenced from anywhere on the international cinema or the national cinema. It just flowed from your heart. And so it was like my DOP Jay Patel, he shaped me. Alia shaped me. Aditya shaped me. Pooja. Pooja, I couldn't have done this without Pooja and Chodita, I keep on saying. These two women were my generals. So I had three crazy women who were driving the project. One was Pooja, Shurita, and then Alia. All of them were driven, and I had this enormous emotional reservoir in me and a certain amount of experience. And perhaps the fear of not making an impact was absent. Not that I was shooting a scene indifferently without the intention of evoking a response. No, I was seeking, I am a performer. When you play a game of chess, you play to win. Okay, so that was all there. But there's a subtle fear that was there in my pre-up phase in '98, where all the time there was a subtle fear that, oh, will this work? Will this not work? And so It's just to kind of hold you back, and you are cautious. So once we I let myself loose, and then I listened to everyone. I learned on the set through your silences. There were times when I used to stage the scene with you, and you used to say that, and then the next shot is this, and the next shot is this, and I was to follow your silences, and I used to see that, oh, what I'm thinking is also playing out in this young actor's mind and heart. That means we are speaking the same language. And that's when I discovered that truth has an ageless value. And ultimately, what I brought to the film was the my ability to bring out people there. I always say a good movie is a movie where the actors, the other technicians all excel, and that happens to succeed from them. They have treasures which they are also not themselves aware of. And when something like that happens, you have a very moving experience, and that's what the aftertaste of Sadak is for me. Sadak 2 is. So it's a road to love, and I think I'm very happy to have shared that journey with you.
Same here, sir, because I've learned so much during the shoot, and I still remember. I will never forget in my life that it was a very important scene of Sarak, where I was about to give the shot, and you just, in fact, you said roll sound, and you said roll camera, and then you said cut, cut, cut. Then you came up to me, and I was little, no, I was shaken because I don't know why you said cut. You came up to me and you said, uh, Jishu, I don't want to see those fears in your eyes. You have to give this shot fearlessly. And I was not understanding what you were saying. And there were like 100 people looking at me, and I was like, Acha, what is happening? I'm not understanding. And I still remember you took me to the corner of the set, and that's that beautiful set I can't forget, in fact. You took me to the corner of the set, and you said few words to me which I don't want to say right now, and and then he called Pooja, and he said, "Till Jishu is fearless, we are not going to shoot." And Pooja said, "Absolutely, Papa, we are not going to shoot." I will never forget that. And I was forced to come out of my shell, and I'm so happy that today I can talk about this, and I can say this that yes, that push from you and that uh, the words which you said that day will remain with me forever. And I don't know how I did that scene, but I hope that it was a fearless shot, and I hope that came out well.
No, you're
And
marvelous. You're marvelous in the film.
when the film
You're marvelous. And I must say, yeah, I must thank Shurita for suggesting your casting for this role. It's such an unusual casting of yours, and you're marvelous in the film. And yeah, I think what was unique about the experience of Sadak and was we somehow created that feeling that look, we were there to touch our depths, and through having touched our depths to touch people. I remember saying that don't impress me, touch me. And because what happens when the set becomes a place where you show off to each other how brilliant you are, or it becomes a podium where you tell yourself first and tell the world how great you are, then that has a sting which puts people off. But when you serve the character and the role and that has been given to you, or the lines and the moment, with a certain amount of humility, uh, and give it all, it somehow touches people and reaches people. And that's what we succeeded in doing. And we were grow best scenes that we, if you remember, which we did. We just groped our way through. I would say something, and then you would respond, and at times you would agree, but your silence said something else to me. Then I heard your silence, and then I changed what I was saying. So it's like a conversation where you are shaping what comes out of me more than what I had set out to say. That's why the a great musician knows uh, the great music that erupts from his soul depends from the listener. The listener who's out there brings out the, the range of music from him, and I think that's what we did in the making of Sadak.
Lovely. And I'm just remembering everything which we, gone through during the shoot of Sadak 2. So, sir, coming back to your life again. So, how do you see after Sadak 2 is over? But have you planned anything? Are you writing anything, or are you thinking of doing any more films? What is it?
Well, look, at the moment, as I said, I am as bewildered and as awestruck by what is uh, confronting the humankind, and I, of course, keep myself informed through the tools of communication that we have in our possession. Um, I have views from disease to divinity on everything. So does my domestic help, Rashida, the young girl of 18 who comes from Kolkata, and whose birthday we celebrated recently in during the pandemic time. And I think that was the warmest evening we had, where we all danced together. And she also has a view, and I discovered that at times her views about what's going on is far more refreshing than the views of what comes from the New York Times journalist. As when the cyclone hit uh, Bengal, I remember I speaking to you. I I heard in your voice something which made me feel very helpless and made me feel very protective towards you. And I discovered that if you, who belong to the privileged class and were a star, were feeling this, so I couldn't just imagine what was happening to my domestic help's mother, who was in Sundarban, and she had lost communication with her. So I discovered that the humankind is all locked in a boat, like the Titanic. It was hit, when it hit the iceberg, uh, whether you are a king or you are a butler, you are all going to sink if you did not find ways to survive. And the survival instinct teaches you something which no book can match. So I keep my ears open. I listen. I read. I observe. I, of course, reflect on the life that I have lived. I I am working on a new script with Shurita, and it's a very engaging script. We are doing the post production of Sadak, which is in the final VFX stage, and also the uh, background music stage, and hoping to the lockdown to get over to finish that one day shoot. And well, as of now, the film industry is looking at a very dark future because the the cinema halls, which were our temples through which our revenue came to us, is in great danger because um, I think the most important concern of everybody at this stage should be how to ensure security and safety and the health of the consumer, who is a human being like your own flesh and blood. So while you may be driven by the need to go back and get numbers and have houseful capacity figures, the truth is you are far from creating an environment where you can ensure the safety of your people. So I think uh, from Hollywood to China Or everywhere where there's an entertainment industry, we are all staring at a very uncertain future. And the television industry is going through the throes of what it seems like a, a kind of a death. And at the moment, the digital space seems to have come like a shot in the arm and some promises some kind of a lease of life to all of us. But you need to go into the real world where you shoot with people because ultimately it's a collaborative medium. We need people. It's a people's business. You don't make cartoon strips and make images at home. So while you are still writing stories and pitching them and green lighting them, you may delude yourself that, oh my God, I'm very productive. Yes, you may be productive, but you have to go out and shoot in the real world. And what that real world will be, the earthquake, uh, the world that you step into may not be the world that you left. So you are creating on the basis of your past references. So only future you're projecting is the past because humankind has never experienced a thing like this. So you have no reference point. So in any field. So I was talking to a guy who is one of the who was one of the survivors of that holy artisan bakery attack in Bangladesh. And he is a person who is an epidemiologist and he is in Canada. And he said that a few years ago, when I survived that horrible night, the very idea of an almighty protecting me was something that was shaken. But I thought that I was doing well with my faith in the scientific fraternity. But the truth is, as a student of science, um, I feel that even my fraternity that I had implicit faith in is on its knees. We don't know what tomorrow will be. And when you have pharmacies farm, behaving like film producers, announcing their movies to get maximum PR for themselves, announcing that they are now inches away from getting a vaccine, and they see their stocks and go up in the market, they do irreversible harm to human trust. So I think we are going through a very strange time, and I feel that whatever is playing out, we will have to keep all that in mind. And right, because I keep on saying one thing: how do you tell stories to a wrecked world? The world is wrecked. We are moving. The young people, particularly, are moving away from the traditional value system because they're seeing uh, how far away you are from what you claimed you are actually. And so I think our references will change and our stories will change. And it'll take a while for us to process what we have gone through uh, and then make meaningful stories which engages people.
Right. So there's a last question from my end. Um, what what is your biggest fear in life, and how, if there is or if there was, and if there was, how did you overcome that fear?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I lost your voice in between.
I said, sir, what is your biggest fear in life, or if there was,
My
how did you
fears
overcome?
are no, I cannot claim to be different from anybody out there who has the fear of suddenly being erased and taken off from the merry-go-round of eternity. So I would be bullshitting if I tell myself and tell the world that that subtle fear which is there in anything which is living is I'm devoid of that. I in fact feel that people who deny that fear are the most frightened. People who are really frightened are frightened to even say that they are frightened. So there is fear, but that fear is in proportion to what I perceive to be an immediate uh, threat in my environment. And but you and me and who people who are perhaps viewing this content may be in a more privileged position because there are that those that sea of humanity, which are our own people, whom we saw march from the cities to their villages. Uh, their fear is exactly the same fear as what we have, and we are not feeling the breath of extinction as much as they feel. And so I would say that to a certain degree, we may be insulated. But basically, uh, I feel the same fears that you feel, or the rest of us feel. But I can deal with it, I can live with it. And fear is a friend. If you can use it as a friend, it can teach you and it can motivate you. But if you let it get the better of you, then it paralyzes you.
Right. So, what are you doing these days? Staying at home, and how are you spending your time?
Well, what do? I wake up early in the morning and I send my morning messages, which you get every morning, and to a handful of people
That
whom I
motivates me.
feel are very close to me, and then I check on the immediate messages that come to me and find out how urgent they are to respond to. And then I get straight away into my writing room with my writer, who is in the same city, but we have not met for 2 months. And then we have a 2 hour session on the phone, sometimes through a video chat, but or an audio chat, and then we both have a break from each other, and then we both go for our exercises. We do. I've been taught yoga by my wife, and I've learned to do Surya Namaskar from her, and I do some breathing exercises. I do some exercise in the morning to keep myself physically agile. And then I come back and then I do a lot of reading. And then pre-lunch is what is called office hours with a break of just 2 hours because my writer is single-handedly running not only her office but also our house because she has no domestic help. So she has to listen to me and she has to write and then she has to wash the dishes and clean the floor and cook for herself and then come back and attend to her family in Salt Lake. So I have to give her that. I have to dance to her rhythm of work because her reality is far more challenging than mine. I'm lucky to have two, three ladies at home. Two of my domestic helps are here, and my wife is here. So she is not that privileged, and so I spend half a day working. Then the day I catch up with my other responses to the PR activity of Sadak and the forthcoming project that is being discussed, etc. And then again, I go back to reading. I read a lot, and I
Right.
write. Then I write, I'm re-looking at my books and reading them and sending them to my writer, Churita, to my daughter Pooja, and to Vikram. And I don't know why you are not there on the list. I will also send it to you tomorrow. And so when I really look at my life, or what I've written, what I've lived through, uh, I look at it as if it's somebody else's life. So it's also a way of at times as I keep on saying, I have to go very further back to take a close look at yourself.
Right.
So it gives you a bird's eye view of a life lived. And but honestly, at the end of it all, um, I may have a lot of words, but after we have spoken all this, do I know anything? To be honest, I don't.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Abhi jani na.
To be shocked, Jano. So thank you so much, sir. I would request Dia to, come back on this screen, and uh, I hope she's listening. Yeah, Dia is. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
she's coming back.
Yes, I'm back. I'm
Hi,
back.
Dia.
Hi, hi. That was so, so magical. Thank you so much, Mahesh ji and Jishu.
Is Dia there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me, Mahesh ji?
Yeah, yeah. I can hear
Yeah,
you. I'm sure Manishji can also.
yeah. So super. So I just wanted to say that that was just so, so
I
magical.
can't
And
hear her. I can't see her. But
I think Manishji can't hear you.
if you look at
okay.
her and see her, now see her. Yeah. Is Dia
Yeah,
okay with our performance? Were we close to what you promised to the world, or we were pathetically
absolutely. No, you were
inferior to your expectation?
not at all. As I was saying,
Because
it was so,
at
so
the end of the day, we
magical.
are if we
No, it was so
well,
magical,
you're yeah.
and
I think it uh,
I also want to take this opportunity to wish
thank
Rashida
you.
from all of
You're
us,
gracious.
because we want to wish Rashida from Calcutta because she's a Kolkata girl, like
Okay.
you said. So a
Okay.
very special
Okay.
18th birthday to her too. And
Okay.
while we were on, the chat lines have
I
just
will. I
been,
will.
yes, the chat lines have been buzzing with questions, comments. There's been such an outpouring of love.
Okay.
I think we've had over 500 people watching on the different social media platforms. And I think, as the international best-selling author Diana Hardy had said, a bond between souls is ancient, even older than the planet. And I think we've seen a live example of the bond between the two of you today, a truly close soul connection. And if
I
it's
love
okay
Jishu.
now,
I love Jishu. I love Jishu.
yes, we can see that. We can see that.
I love Jishu.
There are
She's
so
my
many
baby.
questions
She's
on
my
the chat.
baby.
So there are so many questions on our chat. If it's
Okay.
okay, I could like to ask you all a couple of questions. So Mahesh,
Sure.
Oh
the
yes, please go
first,
on.
yeah. So the first question is
Should
coming
I
all the
call?
way from.
Should I call Rashida? Can I
Yes, you
call
can. Of
Rashida so
course,
that you can sing
please do. Of
birthday
course,
to her?
Please, please.
Mighty please.
we
Okay.
have to take advantage
Okay.
of
Till
this
then,
virtual
I
world.
will call her. Okay. But meanwhile, you can ask questions till she comes. Yeah.
So my first question is actually coming for you from Dubai. And this question comes from Nivedita.
For me. Okay.
And she, for you, Mahesh sir, and she has said that I have heard you describe your mother as a piece of heaven and that the universe has gifted you. And you said that all your victories and successes were addressed to her. Can you share some more details on this relationship with us today?
Jishu, can you please translate that? I can't hear her voice. Her voice crackles.
Oh,
Your voice is clearer. I couldn't hear
Uh,
Dia
Dia
clearly.
was saying that I think from your book, you have mentioned about your relationship with your mother. So if you
yes.
can, elaborate that, and
Yeah.
if you can say that.
Well, I was brought up in a home where my mother was the be all and the end all of my existence. I came from what was called by the world then, and maybe even not now so much because the values have changed. I was from a dysfunctional home, and my father was not living with us, and so my the influence of my mother has profound in my life, and in fact, her silences and her angst and her longings almost bled into me, and so I was emotionally very uh, close to her. So I was motivated in my life to become a somebody and create a place for myself because of her longing to give her some kind of uh, a social standing because she did not have the legal label of being my father's legally wedded wife, and I was supposed to be a we were supposed to be children of sin. But success brings its own legitimacy. So when I found success, she was very proud of me and she thanked me immensely. And one of my greatest joys of life is the kiss on my forehead that she gave me after my first movie. After a disastrous start, I had four flops prior to Earth. And when Earth became a hit, she came and she kissed me on my head and she said, "Thank you for making my old age so beautiful that now I can hold my head high and go out there and say, ah, I'm Mahesh Bhatt." and that's the legal status that nobody can deny me. So I think that's my story of me and my mother.
So there's another question now from Rita Bhimani in Calcutta. And Rita Bhimani has said
Oh,
that,
hi, Dilby.
yes, she's an old friend of yours, I know that. And she wants to ask you that
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
give
Hi,
us a
Rita.
little bit
How's
of
the husband?
rainbow?
Okay, okay.
He's doing better. So she wants
Little
to
bit of
ask you if you can a little bit of rainbow in her life, please. Something that you can say which is going to be a rainbow for her today. Can you hear that? Jishu,
well,
you'll have to.
when you look, yeah, when you stop looking for rainbows, Rita, you discover that what you have is in fact got more colorful than the rainbow out there, which is dependent on the external weather conditions and the environmental laws. I think it's not something which is words, but I feel that when it is the idea of a tomorrow that prevents you from completely living this current moment right now. It is the idea of an afterlife or a better tomorrow. That's why politicians always promise you bread tomorrow. And now you're going through hunger pangs. And today, I feel that when you project something tomorrow, you don't engage with the moment right now here. And this now is throbbing and alive. And you know it right now as you're listening to me that you are alive. And it's all, all anxiety is about tomorrow. At this moment, whoever is listening to me, if you look and pause and see right now, you have no fear. It's all fear is a relation to the next moment, to tomorrow. I'm not asking you not to plan and not to create that systems to kind of have a reasonably sane life. But the idea of having a dream life, the idea of having a dream life becomes a nightmare. And all that the guys have been doing in culture is promising a dream life. When I was little in school, they used to make me paint a rainbow. I've been on this planet for 71 years now. Some days are rainy days, some days are clear days. Some days there's a rainbow out there, such as life, but you can't have only one part of life without the other. Life, it's a package deal. If you the price that you have to pay for life is death. You can't have one without the other.
That's so true. So, Oindra Dutt is asking, what was the difference between directing and working with Pooja and Alia?
Well, when you have on the set with two daughters, you have a um, real role to play because dealing with them as is and being able to kind of see beyond their intellectual capacity because they are both distinct, unique, fiercely, very passionate and very fiercely uh, clear about their views and to fence with them and have yourself heard itself is a task which kind of brings out buried strengths. I would say that both these girls added much a glow to my wrinkled uh, face or to my work. If whatever wrinkles were there were glow because of these two daughters of mine, and they have really added their own color to it and made it into something else. It was not possible only by my monocolor, and so has Jishu. Jishu is also one of my very special kids, and uh, all the guys who came on board added their color. And what you see in Sadak is one which has got which was provided by each one
Okay, lovely. And Jishu, there have been questions coming from all over the world for you too. And Sneha from Singapore is asking this question to you.
Mhm.
And she's asking you that we all want to know about your journey from Bengal to Bombay, your fears, your struggles, and how you conquered them all and come so far.
Okay, I'm back. I can see Jishu back. I don't
So
see
we are
anybody
asked,
else.
Yeah, I'm back, sir.
Bhatt is not there.
Jishu, did you hear that? The question I asked? Or should I repeat it?
Are we or
No,
I,
can you please repeat it?
I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
I couldn't
So
hear. You went.
this question is from Singapore, from Sneha in Singapore, and her question is that she wants
Right.
to know about your journey from Bengal to Bombay, Jishu, your fears, your struggles, conquering everything and coming so far.
I
How
can't.
have you managed all this?
Okay. So hi, Sneha.
I
Thank you
can't
for the
hear.
question. And yeah, I mean, my mantra of life, I would say it's like hustle, hustle, and hustle. Believe in yourself and believe in hard work. Uh, yes, I've been doing films in Bombay, like I did Piku, Barfi, Mardani, but I always slipped back into my comfort zone. I came back to Kolkata. But then Manikarnika happened, and I thought of going to Bombay and trying out my luck. And then I met this gem uh, called Mr. Mahesh Bhatt. Uh, he changed my life completely. And after working uh, in Sadak too, he actually showed me the path of being fearless and go out there and whatever you feel, you should come out with your feelings. You shouldn't be keeping that inside you and uh, let it be there. So you need to come out with your fears. Tell the world that yes, you do fear, but that doesn't mean that you have to live with that fear. uh, so yes, and after that, uh, yes, I've been to producers meetings in autos. I've been in autos. Uh, while coming back from the meeting, I didn't get an auto because it was raining, and I didn't get a cab also. So I walked down in that rain back home. I still remember those days. So I've hustled. I think I've hustled. I have done my bit, and I think nothing comes easy. You have to work hard. You have to give your all if you want to reach your goal. So yes, I've been still doing that, and my journey is still on. It is not easy, but it is what would I say? It's fruitful till now.
That's amazing. So inspiring to hear all that, Jishu. And now we also have a question for you from somebody who's tuned in all the way from New York. Her name is Indu, and she's asking, how did you decide to venture into an altogether new industry where the language was the biggest challenge? Did you manifest that for yourself?
Oh, acha. No. Hi, Indu. Uh, no, I have never thought of doing films apart from Hindi and Bengali. But when I was doing Manikarnika, I met Krish, the director of the film, and then I got to know of him, and then he's one of the biggest directors in Telugu film industry. He's a huge name in Telugu film industry. So we became friends, and I said,
Oh,
if there
yeah.
was if there's any opportunity for me in your industry, if you think any suitable role for me, please let me know. And I just said it in a way where uh, we were chatting one day. So I just said, I want to do a Telugu film, and then I forgot. And I remember after shooting for Manikarnika, about 6 months later, my manager got a call from him, and he said, I want uh, Jishu to play a role in a Telugu film. And I said, I was a little taken aback, and I didn't expect that to come so soon. But I took that opportunity. I took that. Uh, what would I say? As Bhatt Saab said, not to fear. So I came out of my shell and I said, yeah, let's give it a try. There's no harm in trying. And I did that film. It was if That was NTR's biopic, and I played the legendary L.V. Prasad's character. And then rest is history. I've done two films now, and I think if everything goes well from now onwards, I might be doing one more film. So that's about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jishu. I think you've inspired again so many people who have dreams and they know that they can fulfill them too, just like you've done. I think we'll have to conclude now because though we have so many more questions, I know you both have onward commitments. So I just wanted to say that today's really been a day of firsts. It's my first event as president. It's the first time both of you have been on an interview together. It's the first time we are seeing Mr. Mahesh Bhatt's lockdown look. So we have lots of new firsts today. And Jishu, you are Kolkata's very own pride. And Mr. Mahesh Bhatt, I do hope that once things get better, we have the pleasure of having you both at Ladies Study Group in Calcutta. Thank you so much for this beautiful evening. And I think we're all carrying a little bit of stardust with us after today. I also would like to take this opportunity to thank the members of the media for their continued support and most importantly, Mr. Sanjay Chatterjee of Ideation Technology Solutions for their technical expertise. I'm also excited to announce today that our next webinar is going to be on the 16th of June at 6 p.m., where we are going to be having India's leading music composer duo of Salim and Suleiman with us. And they are going to be in conversation about making beautiful music in this lockdown with singer-writer Dhruv Kent. So I wish you all a lovely evening. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you on the 16th at Ladies Study Group at the webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bhatt Saab. Love
Bye
you.
bye. Bye bye,
Thank you.
Jishu. Bye bye, dear. Bye, everybody out there.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Stay alive. Be dangerously alive. Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye.